Uh, we are going to discuss today an interesting topic, surgeon and diabetes. On an average, let us take your opinion. On an average, what do you think? How many patients in your ward are diabetic? Yes, average out of 10.
3 patients.
10, 3. What do you think?
4 patients.
4. Yes.
4
Yes.
to 5.
I mean, out of 10,
10 out of
4 to 5. What is your data?
5 to 7.
More diabetics. So, one point is that we have now residents from 4 hospitals.
Yes, sir.
The 4 corporate hospitals of Delhi, the minimum figure is 3 to 5 patients are diabetic who are undergoing surgery. Now the point which I want to raise this today's discussion is that one part is that a diabetic has undergone cholecystectomy in your ward. That is one aspect. How to manage his diabetes? That is mostly managed by physicians. But until you are going to marry a physician, he or she may not be able to make rounds always with you. Some issues of diabetes you should know. Some basic issues, MBBS level issues cannot be forgotten. But that would be my next week's talk. The management of diabetes for surgeons. Today I am talking different. This topic is never touched on ward rounds, never discussed. You have a patient who has been admitted for lap chole. He is a 10 years diabetic, 60 years man, obese, smoker. This is a usual combination. You will agree 50% of males who are diabetics are also smokers. 50% is not more. Approximately 40 to 60%, because we have neighboring Haryana. So every Haryanvi is a smoker. So some Delhiites may not be smoker. So when you have such a patient admitted in the ward, when you make rounds, you are not only should be concentrating on control of diabetes. You should also be careful what other problems a diabetic can develop while he is in the ward. And proactively, if somebody has come in contact with you, as a good surgeon, you should be able to talk to him and find out if there are other problems. How would you like, I'm just giving an example, that a patient who has undergone cholecystectomy suddenly develops post-operative gangrene of his lower limb. The family will always attribute it to surgery. So one common issue I want to raise is that just write down first what issues I want. First we make a list, take your suggestion, then we'll discuss one by one. So the one common issue is they have associated peripheral vascular disease. Agreed? They can have macrovascular complications. What are the macrovascular? CAD and stroke. Kidney is micro. Macrovascular is MI and CAD, stroke. Then the neuropathy. So when we are looking at a patient post-operatively, we are supposed to look into at least these few things. You would not like your immediate post-op patient to develop stroke, MI, complications of neuropathy, complications of vasculopathy. right? Lastly, especially when you do urinary surgery on anybody, as low as circumcision, right? The patient may tell you after the circumcision he has become impotent. So take the history of ED in all patients of diabetes. 40 to 60% of males in surgery ward who come for unrelated surgery have a significant ED with them. So it is good to document on history beforehand, right? So we will start broadly the management. Otherwise, each one of them is a separate long question for your exam. Let me start from the easiest thing first. Easiest thing is ED. Now, erectile dysfunction in a diabetic, I am just spelling the brief. There are books meant only for ED. The brief is, it happens because of neuropathy, vascular insufficiency, venous leak, drugs. Most of them are on beta blockers. You should know the list of drugs which produce ED. Okay. Now, and on top of it, psychogenic. So you need to know associated neuropathy elsewhere to document that, penile Doppler to know the blood flow, find out from the drug list if there is a drug which is responsible for this, look into the psychological, one common issue you should know. A patient who has psychological ED will have early morning erection. He may not have erection with his partner, but the early morning erection will be there. Somebody who has organic ED will not have morning erection. What is the next step? Next step is check his serum testosterone level. Whenever you are checking in a diabetic serum testosterone level for the purposes of ED, what other test will you do, doctor? Yes.
I will do FSH, LH.
Yes. Elderly male, if diabetic ED, always check PSA. Why? Because if his testosterone is low and PSA is high, you can't give testosterone. You get my point? You are trying to pick up an early cancer prostate because the same age group. Logical? So the sample of serum testosterone and PSA should be taken together. If the PSA is normal, testosterone is low, then give either injectable testosterone or testosterone topical gel. What are the other things for ED? Briefly, you should know all these things. Number one, vacuum assisted devices. Read up. I can't cover everything in one lecture. You should know about something about vacuum assisted devices, because when you are in the ward, when you are sitting in your OPD, somebody might ask you what else can be done. You shouldn't be, or somebody says there was already a advice from somebody to use a vacuum assist device. You should not, as a general surgeon, give a blank view. Welcome Sudhanshu and Dr. Rajiv Bansal. Good to see you. Sudhanshu is there. Sudhanshu has worked with us and he is going to join us soon. Then, if that fails, then penile implants. Somebody knows the types of penile implants? You can get a short note on penile implants. Who will put up today in the tutorial? You. Okay? Two types, inflatable, non-inflatable. This is again a separate topic to discuss, the types of implants. So that finishes the ED. Now peripheral vascular disease. Always, now why I am emphasizing, you are beginning your career in surgery. Whenever you have a diabetic, male, female, ask any history of claudication. Then the lady says, no pain. Then when somebody says, do you have pain in the legs? The lady might say, oh no, I don't have any pain. Then the next question is, do you walk? There are people who have never walked in their life. They are sitting always on the couch. Right? Now, next point, what is on inspection? When do you start thinking this person may have PVD? On inspection, how do you think of PVD?
Inspection.
Loud.
Skin is very thin, shiny.
Yes.
Nails are brittle.
Yes.
Hair is lost.
Loss of hair. Very important point. Skin may not be shiny. People don't take bath for days together here. Right? Combination of peripheral vascular disease invariably has associated peripheral neuropathy. Now, $1 million fact I am sharing with you: a patient who has PVD has a much higher chance of precipitating an episode of CAD or CVA. Remember, PVD is the local manifestation of systemic vascular disease. Somebody who has PVD has always associated CAD and cerebral vascular disease. So you have a gallbladder admitted who has PVD. He has no cardiovascular symptoms. You need to be extra alert for him. Okay? What is the treatment for PVD? How do you grade PVD? Yes, this is your question. They are going to ask you in the practical. Loud, come forward. How will you grade?
Based on grade of intermittent claudication.
Loud. Yes.
Grade 1 of intermittent claudication, patient can walk any distance without pain. In grade,
You should say the grading is based on number 1, the clinical criteria.
yes,
Number 2, ABI. Does ABI tell you severity?
ABPY, yes sir.
How?
Ankle brachial pressure index of more than 1 is normal, less than 0.9 is
Significant.
significant,
Suppose it is 0.4,
very significant.
like that. What is critical limb ischemia? Yes,
less than 0.3.
you're in the same batch.
Yes.
Critical limb ischemia.
Ankle brachial index less than 0.3.
Critical is a clinical entity. It has nothing to do with ABI.
Clear gangrene of the affected limb. The rest pain.
Rest pain more than 2 weeks, and severe claudication.
Put up as a homework on the site radical limb ischemia. Then when it comes to neuropathy, somebody can ask you, doctor, how does neuropathy affect a surgeon? Two ways. The sensory neuropathy, sensory motor or diffuse symmetrical neuropathy affects the surgeon in two ways. Number one, the sensory motor, which leads to diabetic foot. Okay? Number two, visceral autonomic neuropathy. What are the manifestations? Muni, can you tell us?
Autonomic
Yes.
bladder.
There are three things you should know. Number one, postural hypotension. Your patient may fall down. So you have a diabetic, you should check his standing and lying down blood pressure. Because if on day one the lady gets up following excellent cholecystectomy and falls next to the bed and fractures her femur, how would you like? And if you are a smart doctor, you will rule out postural hypotension beforehand, either give her enough fluids to prevent that and sodium, or you will put her on bed rest. All these points we are discussing today are of practical value on your day-to-day patient care, and as is your day care or patient care on everyday basis, so will be your reputation and money making. First, postural hypotension. Second, gastropathy. Barium normal, CT normal, patient continues to vomit. Endoscopy normal. There is a failure of propulsion of food forward. What are the methods you have? First, give them small, low fiber, low fat diet, 5 to 6 times a day. Second, add perineum. Third, erythromycin. Anybody know the reason? What is the role of althrocin or azicin or erythromycin?
Stimulates modeling receptors.
Yes. Very good answer. Suppose everything fails. What is the recent advance in surgery? This can be asked to you in practical. What is the recent advance on gastropathy or idiopathic gastric paresis? See carefully. This is the stomach. Laparoscopically, they install 2 electrodes here. This is called gastric pacemaker, and the wires come out through the parietes, and a battery is put up in the abdominal wall. So this periodically stimulates the stomach to push the contents into the duodenum. read it up about this. This is important to you because 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now you will be in BHU facing the external examiner, and unfortunately the external examiner wants to know the recent advance which he learnt at the age of 63, he wants you to know at 27, right? He only wants to check whether you are keeping yourself updated with the latest. Okay? So put up about the gastric pacemaker. Then next point is cystopathy, like gastropathy, cystopathy. Increased frequency, poor stream, retention, and you can pick this up. Like with neuropathy, the limbs are weak, so is the bladder is weak. The test which I showed you in the morning, the cystometrogram, if you do that bedside, these people will have lower bladder pressures. Treatment is supportive. You cannot only control the diabetes. They do not suddenly get well. Then you can have frequent episodes of intractable diarrhea as a part of. You have to rule out infective conditions, IBS, and then treat them with symptomatic agents. So, to sum up, when you are making rounds in the ward on a known diabetic, we should be looking for peripheral vascular disease, ED, macrovascular complications, neuropathy. So this is in nutshell. And one important message which I have given you: every patient with long-standing diabetes and peripheral vascular disease is a candidate for CVA and MI. Also, one important parallel dialogue: a diabetic who has CKD, renal failure of any degree, let the creatinine be 1.7, has much higher risk of developing sudden MI than those diabetics who don't have CKD, and then in turn those patients who don't have diabetes. Diabetics at a more risk than rest of the population. Now, one last issue on PVD. One point which I have left: the diarrhea in diabetics is usually because of exocrine deficiency, because the pancreas becomes small, atrophic. Number 2, superadded infections. Number 3, autonomic neuropathy. Clear? Pancreatic insufficiency. Okay? Now, You cannot escape the exam without facing a PVD in one or the other form. Long case, short case, amputation. Some viva on PVD is mandatory. So whatever is mandatory, you should be very good. So a common question is, doctor, what are the modifiable risk factors in PVD? Yes, loud.
Smoking,
Yes,
alcohol,
yes.
diet.
Alcohol produces vasodilation. ये आपने कहाँ पढ़ लिया है? Alcohol takes care of PVD. चलिए,
Diet.
diet. What diet? Can you take Diet Coke? This is how the examiners will talk to you.
Having less
Calories.
calories.
Yes.
Proper diabetic control.
When you say so, your first word would be tight glycemic control. Second, stop smoking. Because examiner told you that the patient is a smoker. He has only said in a Dutch diabetic, what are the modifiable risk factors? I would say control diabetes, tight glycemic control. Number 2, stop smoking if the patient is a smoker. Number 3, control hypertension. Number 4, yes,
Lipid control. Strictly. Lipid control.
lipid control. What is a lipid control? What do you mean is a lipid control? Let him say, na, he is going to Banaras before you. Yes.
Not HT.
Listen carefully, write down. There is no compromise on this. Number 1, LDL should be below 100 in non-coronary patients and below 70 in associated CAD. Cholesterol below, triglyceride below 150. HDL more than 50. These are 3 things. Both are important, LDL as well as HDL. Now, what should be the hypertension control? In a diabetic who has peripheral vascular disease or coronary artery disease, the blood pressure should be how much? Yes, doctor.
It should be normal.
150, 140, 145, 110. Speak something.
130, 140.
140.
100 plus age.
Age 75, so 135, okay. 90 years, 145. ये कहाँ पढ़ा आपने 100 plus age?
Sir, they should not be.
Have you read somewhere 100 plus age?
Sir, they are already having the vascular insufficiency. So that,
Where did you read this 100 plus age?
so using.
Huh?
Using.
Now you are in PG. Well, let's be very clear. Diabetic with vascular disease 130 by 80. Diabetes, vascular disease and CKD 125 by 75. Bas, no compromises. Okay? So this is lecture number 1, which is talking about a diabetic come for gallbladder, but my fellow will look into all the other things also. Right? Now the next topic after the break is ileostomy. Now, discussion on ileostomy is important for 2 reasons. One, you cannot cross your exam without encountering either an ileostomy or colostomy. Colostomy will be next week's discussion. Number 2, in day-to-day surgery, as a general surgeon, you need to know everything about ileostomy. Don't keep anything in your mind. Whatever the questions are, you keep writing. Once we finish the discussion, presentation, then. Now, one important thing is, the first dialogue I want to register in your mind is ileostomy is not only exteriorization of a loop of ileum, it is also an anastomosis between ileal mucosa and skin. So you need to have a well positioned, a nicely pouting out ileostomy. The message is this: ileostomy has been in preferred exteriorization than colostomy in certain situations, because write down for the following reason. Number one, prolapse is less common and less serious. Infection at reversal is less. Skin irritation and leakage is less. And the odor is not an issue in ileostomy, which is in colostomy. As far as leakage at the time of ileostomy closure and colostomy closure is concerned, there is no data significant to conclude on either ways that one is definitely better than the others. But this will be a common question asked to you in exam, that you will see an ileostomy in the ward for a patient who has undergo ultra low or low interior resection. These days all these procedures are done laparoscopically, and ileostomy is added. So people can ask you, why not colostomy? The first question will be, why not colostomy, doctor? So you have the reasons. I have told you in the beginning that these are the reasons. What are the common indications? When we talk about indication, we categorize into permanent ileostomy. Permanent will be a situation where all the colon has been removed in majority of the cases except one. We are coming to that. So ulcerative colitis, familial adenomatous polyposis, Crohn's colitis rarely, with severe proctitis. Rarely in paraplegics who have difficulty managing their bowel, ileostomy can be a good option. Like the one we saw in the morning and discussed. If there are no caretakers in the family and he remains soiled in the stool, that is how he formed the bed sores. That is one condition where you do an ileostomy even in presence of colon. Then the temporary ileostomy, indications: acute fulminant IBD, toxic colitis, and toxic C. diff colitis. Can anybody tell me 10 lines about C. diff? Have you heard about C. diff?
Clostridium difficile.
Yes.
It is caused by it is called Pseudomonas colitis.
Yes. Loud.
It causes diarrhea. It is caused by antibiotics.
So usually
Loud.
caused by broad spectrum antibiotics leading to Clostridium difficile infection, leading to pseudomembranous colitis. There will be the patient will have a intractable diarrhea, patient will have a toxic megacolon.
What is the treatment?
Clindamycin.
You guys are not clear. For exam going candidates, C. diff, you should be bubbling. Investigations, drug of choice, second line of treatment, chronic C. diff, recurrent C. diff. What do you do? All these things you have to be. So put up. Let the younger candidates also know. But
Vancomycin.
I want the dose, rhythm, what frequency, what everything you need to know. You are 2 months from now you will be specialist. You may be the only surgeon. So C. diff you are supposed to know. Now, then protective colostomy, ileostomy. When do you do that? Trauma, injury to the rectum, perianal, gangrene, soiling, and fistulae, rectovaginal fistula. Yes. Now, when can be a protective ileostomy avoided in a low anterior anastomosis? Number 1, write down. It is nearly always done except when there is a tension-free anastomosis between two vascular structures, means in LAR or even in ulcerative colitis, when you are creating a pouch, ileoanal anastomosis, when both ends are vascularized and tension free, then air leak is negative. You understand what is air leak? You push the air from below and pour water, and through the laparoscope watch from above. No bubbles. Absence of malnutrition and steroids. Okay. Now once the ileostomy is done, what happens? What is the physiology of ileostomy? For first 1 to 5 days, the output is bilious and around 2 liters a day. Then 5th day downwards, it starts decreasing, starts becoming semi-solid, and by 6th week, it becomes semi-solid stool, and drainage is around 2 to 700 ml. Manageable, odorless, easy to manage. Now, I will take you quickly through the journey from Shackelford. Pictures, because I can't draw that good pictures as they are in the book, to show you some of the important steps of ileostomy. These pictures are from Shackelford. Come forward, you have a look at the book. I am projecting it. With the non-dominant hand in, you push the fingers, and a 2 centimeter, this incision is 2 centimeter circumference, diameter. That skin is excised. Underneath this is 3 centimeter incision, cruciate, through which the loop is brought out. When that is a cruciate incision. Then the loop is brought out for 3 centimeters. And the suturing is, see carefully, edge, seromuscular, dermis. Epidermis is left. Everybody clear? So that the proper nipple forms. The sutures are laid first and then tied. So this is an end elastomy. Suppose there is a loop. The loop, it is divided in such a way that the distal part is smaller and the proximal is bigger. So a couple of sutures here, and instead of 4 sutures, 3 sutures on the proximal loop, so that a bud forms again. This is the final picture. Okay. Suppose the loop cannot be brought out and the end is also getting tight. You want to do an end colostomy? This is called pseudo loop colostomy. The mesentery was tight, the end could not come out. So we have closed this end. Though it is an end colostomy, but brought out as a loop. Okay. Now, what are the complications of ileostomy? Can you tell us?
Yes, sir.
Loud.
Early complications are gangrene of the bowel,
You should say ischemia.
ischemia,
Ischemia can be only mucosal, full thickness. It can be involving only a segment of gut outside and you have a healthy segment below, or it can be the whole thing has undergone gangrene. If it is doubtful, you put a test tube into the stoma, put a light on it so that the light is transmitted through the stoma. You can see viability or non-viable. And if it is still sheath, you have to revise it in emergency. Otherwise, there will be fecal leak in the peritoneum. So these are the grading of ischemia. Yes. Then what else?
hemorrhage,
Hemorrhage from a mesenteric vessel, manageable. Yes.
and leak,
Leak will happen only as a sequelae of necrosis, right? Then mucocutaneous separation. The sutures break. Usually happens in obese people who are coughing. Then retraction. What is significant retraction? When the stoma goes 0.5 centimeter below the skin. And what is ideal? 1.5 centimeter above the skin. That is why you take 3 centimeters and turn it inside out. Okay? Then what are the late complications? Yes, sir.
Prolapse.
You shall start systematically. Stenosis. Stenosis can be at several levels. It can be right at the opening, which may require slight extension of incision on antimesenteric border. It can be at the sheath level, where sheath widening may help. It can be ischemic, then prolapse, then a large prolapse can lead to strangulation, then small bowel obstruction. Now, how does small bowel obstruction happen in an ileostomy? Write down. Number one, adhesions. Number two, impacted bolus. Recurrent Crohn's ileitis. And internal hernias. Such patients should be made to avoid taking large bites of fruits. Takes a big chunk of apple, which quickly reaches the stomach and popcorns can reach without being digested. And lastly, what the last complication? Very good. What is a popular repair known as? Yes, sir. What is popular repair of parastomal hernia? Sugar baker. You should know some basics of parastomal hernia because you will be shown it in the exam. The examiner will not like you to know the details, then he would like to know why this has happened. If you operate, what can you operate? What kind of surgery you can do? Some broad principle, right? At least you write some 4 lines for each repair. Okay? These people will get benefit from your skill. I think that is enough for today.